It is a hot, steamy night here in the Gateway City. After the off day, the Cardinals have just one of those remaining. It is truly the stretch run here in September as the Cardinals host the Milwaukee Brewers. The weather today and tonight, well, currently it is hot. It has been hot, hot, hot all day. It's expected to be that way all night. Dan, Rick, Jim with you. It's 91 degrees here in St. Louis. It doesn't feel like September, but trust us, if you're here at the ballpark, you would know it is 91 degrees, and it has been a hot afternoon. Welcome to St. Louis Cardinals baseball. The Cardinals taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. The heat, is it a factor here down the stretch? Well, it just might be. With more on that, downstairs we go in Jim Hayes. Jim.
Yeah, it was a hot one today, Dan. Temperatures are expected to linger in the mid-80s during tonight's ball game. Adam Wainwright says to pitch in the heat requires some preparation.
Knowing what you're facing in a hot day like today in St. Louis, and humidity like it is, you have to do a great job of hydrating early. That start stays in advance. You have to go out there and be completely fueled up, which means you eat the right stuff a couple days in advance. You eat during the game. You keep that energy in you the whole time, and you have to stay on top of that. But from a mental side of it, you have to check out and not realize the heat. You have to prepare for it, but then once the game gets there, act like it's not there and go out there and pitch, because the guys that give into that heat and get scared of that heat are the guys that find themselves out in the third or fourth inning.
Shelby Miller has had some cramping issues. We're told he's ready to go. So is Yadier Molina. Cardinals baseball is coming up on Fox Sports Midwest.
All comes down to pitching in the game of baseball. Kelly, Wainwright, Waka, dominant in their starts against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Will that carry over to that man? We hope so. It's Shelby Miller getting the call tonight. The 22-year-old is 2-0 with a 1.47 ERA and 3 career starts against the Milwaukee Brewers. It's Shelby Miller against Willie Peralta, one of their young stars, who's a 9-game winner. Matt Adams in the lineup, getting loose, getting ready. Cards and Brewers coming up. One between the Milwaukee Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals. And for the first time this evening, a chance to hear from my partner tonight. That is Rick Horton. And Rick, you have a team in Milwaukee that is unbeaten in their last 7 road series, but overall they played well below the 500 mark. So what's the mindset of the Cardinals?
Well, the Cardinals need to keep doing what they did against the Pittsburgh Pirates, which was outstanding to start this homestand. They were terrific. They swung the bats very well. The starting pitching was very, very good. And this is a team you should beat, and you can't take them for granted, but you have to pound them when you can.
Should be a lot of fun. It's game number 1 of 3, and all 3 against Milwaukee right here on Fox Sports Midwest. More to come in just a moment. It's Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. He'll look for lucky number 13 in the win column. Matt Carpenter and the Cardinals diving ahead and looking towards an NL Central title. Is brought to you by DraftMark Home Tap System. Fresh draft Budweiser beer. Now available from your fridge. See your Mid-America Chevy dealer or log on to stlchevy.com. Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake, just no equal. Look at our man, Tony West, right in the middle of the diamond. That's a live look at Shelby Miller hustling out of the Cardinals dugout and getting set for St. Louis Cardinals baseball tonight. Let's turn to Rick Horton's Toyota keys to the game.
Two keys that I see for this game. #1, more Matt Carpenter. He has been the guy that really fuels this offense, and we talk about him so much, but you know what? Let's keep singing that same song. We want more Carpenter, more production. Shelby Miller follows suit with what the Cardinals starters did against a very tough Pittsburgh Pirate team. Miller saw his 3 teammates pitch very, very well. Now it's his turn to follow suit.
The Kia starter, Shelby Miller, the right-hander, is 12-9, ERA of 3.19, but the 22-year-old Rick has been much better at home than he has been on the road.
Yes, ERA at 1.92 at home is up among the league leaders. But really, you look at his full body of work as a rookie, and you'd have to be pretty happy when you look at those numbers if you're John Mozeliak and Mike Matheny. He's really done a very good job. He's been durable. There's been some days, Dan, you talked about the heat with Jim Hayes earlier. There's been some days where the heat has bothered him, so we'll take a close look at that as this game unfolds.
Yeah, good point. He's had a couple of those stretches where he had to come out because of a lack of hydration. The Brewers lineup, it's Aoki, Segura, and Lucroy. Then Ramirez, Gomez, Scooter Gennett, Caleb Gindel, Martin Maldonado, and Willie Peralta. Holiday, Jay, and Beltran in the outfield. This is brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers around the horn. Freeze and Cosma on the left side. Carpenter Adams on the right side. Yachty is behind the plate. And the Cardinals actually, Rick, are 7 games ahead of where they were last season and the year before when they made the remarkable run in 2011.
Surprising, isn't it, to hear that? And they really have played the Brewers well this year, 10-3. We look at the National League Central Division. The Cardinals a game ahead of Pittsburgh with that sweep. And Cincinnati still hanging around 2 games back.
On the other side, Ron Reineke has seen his club play very well on the road. 7 road series consecutively now that they have gone unbeaten in. And they have a chance to play spoiler here down the stretch, in particular with the Cardinals.
6 games against the Cardinals, but they also have 3 against Atlanta and 3 against Cincinnati. So 12 of their last 20 games are against contending teams.
Here's Aoki, and the first pitch is taken for a ball up high. Glad you're with us tonight on your home of the Cardinals all season long, Fox Sports Midwest. 95 degrees, our game time temperature. There's a strike that catches the corner. 1-1. Aoki is 5 for 9 with a home run against Shelby Miller, and he's about the only one with decent numbers against the Cardinals right-hander. Leads the major leagues as the toughest to strike out. Only 1 strikeout per 17 at bats. And there are the numbers for the outfielder for Milwaukee. That's strike 2.
In fact, he's 3rd best all time with the Brewers at being tough to strike out. Number 1 on the list, Ted Simmons, former Cardinal. Number 2 on the list, Fernando Vina, former Cardinal.
Interesting. A 2-2 pitch. Ted Simmons had some remarkable years offensively, both with Milwaukee and, of course, with the St. Louis Cardinals.
1985, every 18.5 at-bats, Simmons struck out, which is really an extraordinarily good number.
Spoils that pitch. It's Aoki, Segura, and Jonathan Lucroy here in the first inning against Shelby Miller. All these starts down the stretch are important, not just for the team to pick up wins, but also for playoff positioning in the rotation. And Shelby certainly in that conversation, especially here at home. Aoki slaps it the other way, and it stays 3-2. Rick, the Cardinals are trending towards 3.4 million fans coming through the turnstiles here in 2013.
Nice trend.
And St. Louis will finish 2nd in the league in attendance. Freeze, ranging to his left, and he makes the play. Number 1, it'll be the Dodgers, and then the Cardinals will finish 2nd best, and that is amazing. You expect LA or New York, Chicago, but little old St. Louis just packing them in night after night. And tribute to these great fans.
No question. And for Cardinal fans that have been saying all year, you know, I need to come back to just one more game or maybe just a couple more games. We're running out of time. Not many home games remaining. So other than the road trip next week, Cardinals have the games here at Busch Stadium. Pick one, come out, and enjoy this 2013 team.
Gene Segura is at the plate. A 301 average, 12 home runs, 46 RBIs. He does have very good speed. 40 stolen bases this year, and 40 steals, tops in the National League. It makes you think how things have changed so much from when you were playing with the running Redbirds to what we're seeing now. 40 steals to lead the league.
Well, he has 40 steals, and so do the Cardinals.
Isn't that something? Here's a 1-1. Ground ball to second. Taken there by Matt Carpenter. 2 down. Mentioned Ted Simmons. Simmons had 87 RBIs as a catcher in 1982. And that is the all-time record for Milwaukee. Well, Jonathan Lucroy has 72 RBIs as a catcher, 77 overall. He's at first base tonight and enjoying his finest season in the big leagues. Really a breakout year.
No catcher in baseball with more RBIs as a catcher than Lucroy. And this is a team, Dan, with a lot of tough moments in 2013. The Ryan Braun situation clearly the biggest problem for them, but they lost Corey Hart, they lost Matt Gamble, They lost Ricky Weeks, so injury's a problem too. So they are just kind of trying to recover from all the blows that they've had this year. And tough job for Ron Renicky to keep them positive. But they have, as you mentioned in the Open, played much better on the road. So you cannot take them for granted here.
1-1 pitch. However, if you are a championship team, I would think 2 of 3 is a must.
Yes.
If not sweep here at home. Dodgers were swept in Cincinnati, and then all of a sudden Chicago comes in last night, beats the Reds. That's the game of baseball. Had to protect the plate. Little weak ground ball hit to Adams. 1-2-3 inning for Shelby Miller. Willie Peralta to the mound when we come back. The Cardinals coming off a sweep against the Pirates, and offensively a couple of home runs over the weekend, some big innings, and Matt Carpenter gets it all started. Then John Jay, Matt Holliday, Carlos Beltran, Yadier Molina, David Freese, Matt Adams, Pete Kozma, and the pitcher Shelby Miller. That's a look at your lineup for St. Louis. The Brewers defense is brought to you by Dobbs Tire Auto Centers. Gindel, Gomez, Aoki in the outfield, Ramirez, Segura, Jeanette, and Lucroy along the infield. Martin Maldonado is behind the plate. Willie Peralta getting the start tonight for the Milwaukee Brewers, and Peralta has a record of 9-14. And against St. Louis, collectively in his starts, his ERA is over 11. It's a game of adjustments. We'll see what kind of adjustments Willie Peralta has in store for tonight against St. Louis. Well, Matt Carpenter, what a remarkable season this has been. He has scored 112 runs, 48 doubles, 7 triples, and 59 walks, all tops on the team, and has set the all-time record for hits here at Busch Stadium 3. He shattered Albert Pujols' mark over the weekend. Here's an 0-1 pitch. That's taken high, and it's 1-1.
Somebody asked me today, Dan, how to describe Matt Carpenter as a player, and it seems like such a lame answer, but he's a big leaguer. He just does everything well.
Well hit. Gindel is back and near the track makes the catch. Well, the Cubs already have jumped out on a lead of 5 runs against Cincinnati. That's in the bottom of the third, 5-0.
That's Cingrani.
We'll keep an eye on that throughout the evening. Here's John Jay. Average at 268, 7 home runs. He's driven in 63.
How are they hitting that guy?
I don't know about you. I thought the off day came at the perfect time for this club.
No question. You could kind of enjoy the Pittsburgh series. You could get a little rest afterwards. You could kind of almost confirm this feeling of kind of positive vibrations going on in the clubhouse, and all the team chemistry stuff that you want to kind of consider. And I think for Mike Matheny and his group to get a chance to go play a little golf yesterday for his foundation was not a bad way to spend an off day. Most of the players showed up. I saw a ton of people out there, and Mike's foundation, Catch 22, it does great work building fields for kids with special needs out in the Chesterfield Valley and beyond that. They're building more fields, and Mike, really a heart effort for Mike, and his golf tournament was first class yesterday.
Why are we talking about Mike Matheny as a manager of the year candidate? And it seems like we have not heard that at all, but yet look at what this club has had to go through with the loss of Mott, loss of Carpenter, loss of their everyday shortstop in Furcal. There's a strikeout of John Jay in the first of the night. But you start adding up all the losses, and I'm not saying that other teams aren't dealing with injuries, but the Cardinals, significant players, significant injuries, closer, #1 starter, shortstop. Most teams are saying we're going to be lucky if we finish 500, and yet this club is 7 games better than they were a year ago.
He should be in the conversation. There's no question about that. I think one of the things that's kind of interesting about Mike is he has not really kind of set a big footprint or imprint, whatever word you want to use, on what his style is as a manager, and so it hasn't really been galvanized around him, which I think he's happy with, frankly. When you think of this team's success this year, you think good young arms throwing well and hitting with runners in scoring position. You don't think, well, they hit and run well, or but all the aspects of the team Mike's in charge of. So why not give him some credit for how he's engineered this young team into first place in the Central?
John Mozeliak and the analytical department of the Cardinals will give Mike Matheny, Derek Lilliquist, John Mabry, Benji Molina all the info, in particular on where to play guys defensively. They say this is the trends, this is how our guy goes at a particular hitter, this is where we think you might want to position those players, and the Plaza Tire Service replay and off the shin guard of Holiday. And then after that, everything else is up to number 22. Ouch. And that's hit and run, when to pull a starter, making the decisions with the bullpen. That is squarely on the shoulders of Mike Matheny. So it is his in-game managing that we're talking about. And if you're Willie Peralta, go right back there again, huh?
Well, Holiday's positioning the shin guard well, and you really got to feel for Matt Holliday. He's done that, I'm going to say, a dozen times in the last 2 weeks, where he's hit a bullet off his foot, ankle, shin. He's getting tired of doing that. But you're right, Peralta most likely will come back in.
.90 games now against Milwaukee in his career and a .316 average. 2 outs, nobody on, and the 0-2 pitch taken low.
To your point about Mike Matheny being the one to make the decision, he actually said on a recent road trip, to everybody's surprise, that he takes into consideration what the pitchers believe about those defensive shifts. If they don't want them, they don't do them. The pitcher's uncomfortable where the shortstop is playing up the middle, and that's going to affect the way he delivers the ball home. Any one of those guys comes and says, look, I don't like that idea, then he won't do it. He gets the fact that the pitcher has to be on board or it's not going to work.
The 2-2. That's taken low. And you'll know when it's a called third strike with the emphatic strike 3 call of Tom Hallion, who is our home plate umpire tonight. And if you're standing to his right, you better watch out. It's a Mike Tyson hook.
I don't want to see it right now, but I do want to see it.
The strikeout of Holiday, and 2 in the inning for Peralta.
Won in 2013. The Cardinals had 11 at one point. Dodgers lead the way with 12. Active right now, Milwaukee with 7 and a chance to play spoiler down the stretch. It'll be Ramirez, Gomez, and Scooter Gennett has played quite well at second base for Milwaukee. Second inning rolls in. Shelby Miller, 3 groundouts in the first. The schedule for next season came out. The Cardinals will host Boston. They will host the Yankees. The Cardinals actually open up with 17 of 23 on the road. April 7th will be the home opener against the Cincinnati Reds. There's a line drive base hit. Aramis Ramirez, who earlier this year picked up hit number 2,000 of his career.
I feel a Twitter poll question coming on related to the release of the Cardinals schedule today, but we'll get to that in due time. That pitch down in the zone. Ramirez hits the Cardinals so well and has over the last decade. This year, 423 coming into this game with the 4 home runs, but over the last decade, the number's still tremendous. 337 batting average, 106 RBIs over the last decade, going beyond those numbers you see there, which are pretty darn good.
Wow. Here's Carlos Gomez. And it was about a month and a half ago, if you go by a sabermetric measure, WAR, Carlos Gomez is the MVP of the National League. Now, to put it in perspective, Carlos Gomez has had a solid year. Very good defender. He's not the MVP of the league, however, a very good player. Last time we saw them, we did see him in the lineup as Jay makes a sliding catch. What a play by John Jay. Oh, what a play in center field.
John Jay's range, his speed to the ball, I think have really increased in the second half of this season. Always has the good hands. Very few errors in the career of John Jay. 245 straight games without one, in fact, was broken this season. But not just the hands. I just like the way he's moving in center field. He just seems to have more energy of late.
Running a lot better.
Confidently, maybe? Confident?
Yep. Scooter Gennett. Ricky Weeks had surgery on his hamstring. Very serious injury. And they have a big decision as to whether or not to pick up an $11 million option on him and bring him back. And Scooter Gennett has made his presence known with a .331 average. 6 home runs, 18 RBIs, and very good defensively.
He's their team's player of the month in August, where he hit .423, and I guess if I were Ricky Weeks, I would start at least thinking about other options.
A short lead at first by Ramirez, and Shelby would let the double play. Here's the 0-2 pitch on its way. Past Carpenter and into center field. Ramirez will stop at second. Very tough play for Matt Carpenter. And it's runners at first and second. Caleb Gindel, who also hits from the left side. 3 lefties in this lineup and 2 back-to-back. The Hyundai replay.
Very close to knocking that ball down. Matt Carpenter, who's shown pretty good range as a second baseman. The ball was hit very hard up the middle.
One out, runners at first and second. Gindel in his 3rd stint with the Brewers this year as Adams steps on the bag and stays with the play. Runners at second and third now, 2 outs.
It's been a very tough double play, and Cardinals get a bit of a break as that ball bounces right up over the bag, and Matt Adams finds it. He had to make that decision of whether to kind of play back on that ball and get an easier hop or try to come in and scoop it and get two, and didn't get the scoop, but fortunately he was able to get it out.
Martin Maldonado hitting 174. 2 outs. Runners at second and third. Outfield is straight away. One for 14 and 4 Ks in his last 5 games. By the way, the Cardinals have announced that tickets will go on sale for the postseason. Cardinals.com, 345-9000. And that will go on sale, those tickets, this Thursday. 10 a.m. Central Time this Thursday. Also, the Cardinals have something going on. I think it's exceptional. Tomorrow and the following night, first responders can get a free ticket. All active, retired military personnel, those in the armed forces, first responders, a free ticket, cardinals.com/heroes. Tomorrow and the next day. September 11th, and baseball recognizing that. Cardinals have jumped in with those free tickets.
It's fantastic. Look forward to the opportunity to salute men and women that'll be here the next couple of nights. Taking advantage of that, we urge folks to do that. Miller 3-1 on the 8th place hitter with first base open. Don't give in here. He's setting up just off the plate.
And he walked him. So bases loaded for Willie Peralta. Statistically, looking between these two teams, 182 last in the National League, 2 outs, runners in scoring position. The Cardinals at 293. What a big difference there.
As great as 293 is, 182's tough to watch if you're a Brewers fan. I mean, that is very few clutch hits with 2 outs, and they make for long nights when you're not getting those kind of hits.
Willie Peralta this year at 156 average, no home runs and no RBIs. And again, this lineup missing Ryan Braun with the suspension. And Peralta hits it sharply, but right to Carpenter. Milwaukee, the trend continues at 182, and runners in scoring position and 2 down as they strand the bases loaded. tomorrow, only $3.99. Stop by one of the 4 St. Louis area Krispy Kremes for this sensational deal. Carlos Beltran, the switch hitter, will lead things off for the Cardinals. It's Beltran, Molina, and David Freese. He's in the wrong stadium.
At a golf tournament today, and there was a Cub fan there, and he hit a ball in the water off the tee that I was standing at, and I said, hey, wait till next year. Maybe you'll get one next year.
Did he get it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He had heard it once or twice?
Oh, yeah. We had fun with it. But we need the Cubs today. We're all Cub fans today.
Isn't that the truth? By the way, Cingrani did not pitch in that game. It was back spasms, I understand.
Went an inning and a third or an inning and 2/3, and then he had to be taken out, and he had to come out very early in that game. Gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, and was relieved by Reynolds, the rookie, and he's had back issues before. In fact, he had just come off the disabled list to face the Cardinals from a back ailment.
Shift is on here for Beltran, and he held up. Ball 1.
Peralta has good stuff. He throws in the mid-90s and has a very good changeup. His slider is his 3rd pitch. And when he's good, he's good. Cardinals actually hit him around very well in that game in mid-May. He gave up 11 hits in that game, and 5 of those runs came in the 1st inning. Cardinals really beat him around, but good 1st inning here tonight. 2 strikeouts and 3 batters.
A 2-1 pitch to Carlos Beltran. Take it in the dirt, 3-1. Five innings, 11 hits, the 7 runs, 90 pitches. May 17th, and a loss to the Cardinals. Beltran on a 3-1 pitch hits a fly ball out to left. 1 away. 4 up and 4 down. We were wondering just how much Yadier Molina was going to play down the stretch. The knee injury, is it going to be every other day? Is it going to be a start and maybe only last 7 innings? Well, this guy, you can't get him out of the lineup. He is playing through pain and still putting up big numbers.
Cardinals have 19 games remaining in 20 days. 1 more off day. And I think it still remains to be seen how much Yadi plays in those 19 games. I think, of course, how the Cardinals are doing in those games will drive that decision. But I think we all feel it's kind of frustrating when Yadi's not in there. He can't play every day, but you sure do want him to.
Cardinals gave him that big contract, and it wasn't for his offense. It was what he provides this team in leadership, what he means defensively, and the numbers don't lie. This pitching staff better than a run when team ERA when he's behind the plate.
You especially think that with a pitcher that maybe needs a little coaching and needs a little more help, maybe their mechanics, or you think of all the young Cardinal pitchers, how important that is. You don't have the experience that Yadier Molina has.
Brings in David Freese. Well, you look at payroll, you look at performance, and then you look at an individual's salary and evaluating what to do with guys that you could bring in or keep in the fold, and David Freese is one of them. if Freese is not a valuable piece to the Cardinals next year, he certainly could be for some team. And the Cardinals will be looking, you would have to think, at adding something to their shortstop position. Always looking for pitching. The last 4 games he's turned it up. A couple of home runs.
Next year seems so far off. The Cardinals really need him this year, this month, this week. And even in this series with Alan Craig being injured, it's an immediate need. I had a chance to tell David yesterday that really fun to watch him come back around and feel good at the plate and the way he's swinging. And all of his responses were, we are playing well. We had a good series. And he just really had a really interesting team answer to those compliments.
Peralta with 4 strikeouts, and coming up we'll switch gears and talk a little hockey. One of the greatest to ever wear the blue note. 527 goals in the Blues. He's back in St. Louis and back home and in our booth next. Overall, Hockey Hall of Fame in 2009, the Golden Bread, and that famous number 16, the famous smile, and it's back home in St. Louis where it belongs. I see you smiling right now as Brett Hall has joined us here in the booth. Aoki is at the plate, and on behalf of all of us in St. Louis, welcome back home.
Thank you very much.
What's it feel like?
Glad to be back. It feels great, wonderful. It's like putting on an old baseball glove that's all broke in.
How did the uniform fit last night? The sweater, I saw it was a little tight.
It was. Well, I had shirts underneath it. Come on. Yeah, it's been a few years and a few pounds since I've been back.
No, you look good. Now, are you still following what's happening here in St. Louis since you left with the Blues, the Cardinals, the Rams, and whatnot?
Absolutely. You know, I left St. Louis, but never went very far away from me, and I keep up on. You know, the Cardinals winning World Series and the Blues climbing their way to a Stanley Cup, and the Rams with Sam Bradford, you know, from OU. And I had season tickets when I was in Dallas to OU, so
Did you really?
I saw a lot of Sam.
Tell me about your new role with the Blues. What does this exactly entail?
Well, it's going to do a lot of things. You know, executive vice president, and I'm going to be working with Bruce Affleck and Tom Stillman, and we're going to be trying to bring in and raise revenue through fans and corporate St. Louis. And I think with the vision that Tom has of the Blues to bring them to a level like the St. Louis Cardinals, I think the corporate St. Louis will see that and climb aboard to be a part of that, because when you're elite and are a class act not only on the ice but off the ice as well, I think people want to be a part of you.
March 7th, 1988. Rob Ramage, Rick Wamsley go to Calgary, and a guy named Brett Hall shows up in St. Louis as Segura grounds out to short. And at that point in time, your life changed, but hockey changed here in St. Louis. It was a special time, and I've said this a number of times, that Scott Trade Center wouldn't be there without you. What does this place mean to you in your heart and to your family?
Well, thank you, but it was magical time. I didn't even know what to expect when I got to the airport, and Susie Matthew picked me up and took me down to Hampton and Kings Highway and the old arena. And from the minute I walked in there, and Bernie Federico and Brian Sutter and Greg Kozlowski, they opened up their arms to me. And then we grew with the hockey base of St. Louis, and we had a magical time.
Can you imagine what it's going to be like? Because I say it's going to be like. It will happen.
Yes.
Market Street,
yeah.
The Stanley Cup. Have you thought about this?
I think about it all the time, and it's let's just extend it. We'll take it down Market and turn right on Broadway, and we'll just keep it going, because it's going to be one heck of a time when it does happen.
This may be a tough question to answer. You won a cup with Dallas. You won again with the Red Wings. And I know it had to be special. I mean, you have friendships and bonds, and you win it for those cities and those organizations that you play for and you represent. But in the back of your mind, at those, even back then, in those times, did you think about St. Louis and what you went through and what it just might have been like?
Yeah, because we were close a number of times, and it was just a bad break here, a goalie getting hurt there. I remember when Curtis got hurt, and we lost Game 7 to Vancouver, I think, and he was coming back for Game 1 of the next series.
Sure.
But, it is always in the back of my mind to wonder how it's going to be. And when I was fortunate enough to win a couple of Stanley Cups, I always thought in the back of my mind, I wish I was wearing that blue note when it was happening.
How has the game changed in your mind? Because you are one of the great goal scorers that's ever played this game. And I was telling this story the other day. Ray Barilli, I asked him, longtime Blues trainer, for fans that don't know, I said, who is the toughest guy you've ever dealt with? And hockey players, as we all know, are so tough. He said, unquestionably, Brett Hull. And I said, really? I said, Brett Hull, the great goal scorer? And he said, I've never seen a guy pay the price as much as Brett Hull did to score goals. So there are guys that are willing to pay that price, some don't. So how has the game changed, in particular with goal scorers?
Well, the game's cyclical like everything, and it's just kind of a weird time in the game now. The players are so big, there's not a lot of room out there. You've got like Chara, who plays for Boston. He's 6'9", and there's a bunch of them. And so there's not a lot of room. And then I think the way they're coached, you're not allowed to have really any freedom to go and create goals on your own. So, they're all good. They're all skilled, even maybe more skilled than we were. So I think it's just a cycle in the game, and it'll come back. Goalies are huge, too.
Yes, they are. None more skilled, though, than this guy, number 16. He can do it on the diamond as well. Look at that. Yeah, a little inside. But Brett's back in town. Strike 3. We'll give it to him. The great Brett Hull is with us. Back with more in just a moment.
How can't you?
I know it. Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Schnucks, your neighborhood hometown grocer. And go big in a participating Jack in the Box with Jack's really big chicken sandwich combos for only $3.99 plus tax. The Golden Bread back in St. Louis, back where he belongs with the St. Louis Blues. And we were just talking during the break as Matt Adams will hit for the first time tonight. Local ownership, Mr. Stillman being a guy that understands the Blues. You represent the Blues and everything that this has always been about. That is big, isn't it?
It really is. Since Mr. Shanahan sold the team, we haven't had that local ownership and a group that cared not only about the team but about the city and the fans, the St. Louis Blues fans. And it's great to have him and the local owners a part of the franchise again.
What was your favorite moment here in St. Louis?
Yeah, there were so many.
And I mean on the ice.
Yeah. It was. It had to be my 500th goal at home in front of those fans.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. 500. Initially, they thought it was you. Then it got taken away, right?
Yeah.
And then you had to do it again.
Yeah, that's actually happened a couple of times to me. But Matteau said he had touched the puck, so I had to just go and get another one.
Yeah, well, you did that quite a few times. Your dad, and I remember him being back here that night at Scott Trade Center when your jersey was lifted and officially retired. Tell us about your relationship with your dad now and how things are going for him as well.
It's great. He's getting up there now. He's 74 years old, and
I saw him at a Cubs game the other day.
Yeah, he's doing great. Someone said he sang seventh inning stretch, so he's doing well. I took him and my son down to Mexico, and we went tuna fishing, and we just had a great time. And he's happy. He's back in with the Chicago Blackhawks, so I'll be able to see him a little this season too. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
And I brought that up because I'm just thinking about that moment, what that must have been like. You've had great moments clearly on the ice, but your number retired that night and the emotions that you both had.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of good things that happen to you, and I've always said that first game was the greatest game of my life because I can say that I made it. And you never know how good you're going to be or if you're going to get injured the next game and never play again. And I was fortunate to be able to have a long career and do a lot of great personal things and team things. But when you're honored with a jersey in the rafters and they call you to the Hall of Fame, those are two of the greatest moments you'll ever have.
How many times, Brett, did you try to get back with the Blues or vice versa, that they reached out to you and said, hey, come back with us, whether it be as a player but even after you retired?
Well, not too many, because most of the time during those years I was either still playing, or then I was working in management with the Dallas Stars, or the 1 year where I did NBC TV. So there wasn't a lot, but as soon as Tom and the local group took over, I knew it was time to make a call and inquire.
And I know you felt, as Lucroy drops that baseball, so Cosma is aboard and the Cardinals have their first base runner of the night. You felt it was very important. I know the organization did as well, but you in particular felt your kids are getting older. Why not come back home to St. Louis? And I say this is home. You spent a great portion of your life here and you've been all over the place, but why not come back home and make this official and live here all the time?
Absolutely. And it's, I told my wife, Darcy, I don't think you're going to understand how great the city is until you get to spend maybe a week there. But everybody, they've even read Shandy's next door says, Darcy, you're going to love St. Louis.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Here is the pitcher, Shelby Miller, with a runner at first, and Miller gets the bunt down. Peralta, though, will go to second, and they'll get the lead man. It's a heck of a play. Did you play baseball much growing up?
I did. I played baseball my whole life, and I loved it. And then when I went to college in the off season, I would play fast pitch softball in the summertime, and it was a lot of fun as well.
Look at that. The Hart Trophy, 8-time All-Star, 741 career goals. I mean, I think about when you just shattered 80 and then got to 86 and all those things that happened along the way. That's when this place exploded with hockey.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Adam Oates and I, we talk all the time about the numbers that could have been put up by both of us if he wouldn't have gotten traded to Boston. But, sports is sports, and those things happen.
Brett Hall is with us, 2 outs and a runner at first. Here's Matt Carpenter. Fly to left his first time up. You're excited about the new role. How much of the business side of this have you done? Because I know you've done the GM and obviously special assistant and whatnot, but what about this side of it?
Well, I haven't done a lot of it, but I've been around it for a long time, and I've had great conversations with a lot of great people. Jimmy Lights, the president of the Stars, and Jeff Kogan, who's the president of Nashville, who was in Dallas, and you learn a lot just by listening. And sometimes that's a little hard for me, but I'm going to come in and dive right in and try to learn all I can and help us become that organization that Mr. Stillman wants.
So when Brett Hall calls, you better pick up.
I hope so.
Great to have you back home.
Appreciate it.
Number 16, one of the greats, Brett Hall. With Regis Philbin and a cast of former athletes and journalists that will talk about things that you won't hear on other shows. Sports Talk just got a lot more colorful. Crowd goes wild weekdays at 4 on Fox Sports 1. One colorful Sports Talk. They should have got to number 16 before Tom Stillman. What a treat, Brett Hall. There was a lockout a few years ago, and Brett Hall was not talking to the media. However, he granted me an interview. And I mean, you talk about a guy that had some opinions, and it made national news what he had to say, and everything he said was spot on because he's brutally honest, to a fault, he'll tell you, but he has a passion for what he does. Great player, great guy too. I don't know if you've been around him at all, Rick, but a lot of fun to be around. What a treat to visit with Brett Hall.
Well, really contemporaries in the sense of being active at the same time, but not contemporaries in terms of understanding the life and the notoriety he had as an athlete here. I mean, St. Louis loves Brett Hall. I mean,
he was the Elvis of hockey here in St. Louis.
There's no question, and bigger than the game in some ways. And,
absolutely.
And really represented St. Louis so well. So it's just such a wonderful thing to have him back. And looking forward to kind of reliving some of those moments that he gave us over the years.
Tremendous. There was a night after a game in Detroit, and I was doing Blues hockey at that time, and there's not many times where I sit there in awe of an individual or in the company of others, because I think we get many times immune to it.
Right.
You know, we're around it every day. It's just they're human beings just like we are. But that particular night, Bernie Federico, who is one of my best friends in the world, said, I want you to come out with me tonight. And Bernie finished up his career with the Detroit Red Wings. He said, we're going to go to the alumni club and sit down and visit and have a chance to talk it over with some guys. I said, sure, Bernie, let's do it. So strolling in comes Brett Hall. Then after that, it was Keith Tkachuk. Then after that, it was Brendan Shanahan. And then after that, it was Kelly Chase. And I mean, the list goes on and on. Steve Yzerman. And I just sat back, and I know how you used to love, after games, listening to guys talk. Well, they were just talking about the sport in general and the game that night. 3-2 pitch. And listening to those guys, which had a combined 2,000 goals and Hall of Famers, and hearing how they see the game and how they perceive certain aspects of the game. It's awesome. And I can only imagine what it's like to go to Cooperstown and listen to those guys get
the
together.
Hall of Famers talk about, that's
at
a
the
different
dinner
level.
table, and you're listening to those guys talk about the game. I mean, it's a different level that most of us will never understand. But it sure is fun to listen. And it only gets a little better for baseball fans tomorrow. Some guy named Ozzy is supposed to stop by the booth tomorrow night.
I've heard of him, too.
He wasn't bad either. The Wizard will be with us, and he has got the golf bug. So he's got an event coming up, and the Hall of Famer, Ozzie Smith, will be with us.
I was afraid that I would not come back with you and Brett because I know you enjoyed being with him, and I have that same fear tomorrow with Ozzie Smith.
There's a good chance you're out.
I know you've said for years that he's clearly your favorite player.
Hands down, my favorite player of all time. And got to meet him afterwards, where I know some people have met the ones that they grew up idolizing and maybe didn't go all that well. Mine was better than expected. So I can't wait to visit with Ozzie tomorrow. There's a drive out to right field off the bat of Scooter Gennett. 2 away. MLB.TV celebrating 11 years. Keep up with the pennant races and catch the rest of the 2013 season in HD quality. Watch every out-of-market game live on more than 350 mobile and connected devices. Visit MLB.TV today. Training camp for the Blues, by the way, opens up tomorrow. Their first preseason game, I believe, Rick, is Sunday. That is hard to believe, but we've got hockey ready to roll. The Blues should be very good this year. We'll have most of those games right here on Fox Sports Midwest.
College football, Rams are playing, Cardinals are playing September baseball, Blues are in training camp. There's not enough stations on the TV. There's not enough hours in the day to follow all of it, is there?
My time of year.
But it's fun to try.
You bet.
That's how you follow it, right?
He's ready. Yep.
He's plugged in.
Couldn't see it, but he also has his iPad with him too. Wait a minute, is he related to Bartman? That guy looks familiar.
He does.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Caleb Gindel. Gindel shoots a rocket into right center field, and that ball will go to the wall. Gindel to second base, and he'll stop there. A 2-out double.
Been a good start for Shelby Miller. Been around the plate. Pitch count is low. Pitch middle in. Fastball. There's the perfect swing of a left-handed batter. I don't know why lefty swings look smoother than right-handed swings, but they do. And Gindel 2-out double, and here's that situation again for the Brewers. An opportunity, 2 outs. Runner in scoring position, but you again have first base open if you're the Cardinals, so be careful.
The Cubs have added to their lead 6-0. Chicago over Cincinnati. That's in the top of the 5th. Now they get that first strike on him. Let's see how aggressive Miller will be in this at bat now. You get that first strike on him, it really changes the complexion of how you go after this hitter.
But I wonder if you're Yadi or Molina, because that pitch was not a very good pitch. It was a cutter that was right in the middle of the plate, and I think it fooled Maldonado a bit. So Yadi may, and he does, step out even further to make sure he gets it out there. Kind of what the catcher has to consider is, and so does the manager, is the pitcher capable right now of doing what I want him to do? We want him to be careful with Maldonado. Do you trust him to know it, number one, and then to be able to do it, number two? And that involves command. And that's where knowing your personnel is important.
And a fly ball hit off the end of the bat. Over to get it is Jay, cutting in front of Beltran to make the catch. The center fielder making the play midway through 4. Interleague play began. We've got the Royals again. Tampa Bay will be here, and the Boston Red Sox. So from a baseball perspective, very tough teams. Historical perspective, you get a chance to look at the Yankees and the Boston Red Sox.
I'm very interested what our fans are going to say about that. I'm guessing that the Yankees might win this poll, but you never know. Our AT&T Twitter poll has been fun all season long. I believe that young man is not going to be voting today. He's thinking about other things. Hanging out with Dad. Learning how to cheer. Love it.
Here is John Jay. Jay on the first pitch. Skies one towards center. Boy, how good has Willie Peralta been here tonight?
Yeah, hit any time would be fine. Woo.
Really kept the Cardinals on balance tonight. 5 strikeouts. And you see what he's done this inning, or this season, by inning.
And again, that's surprising. The first inning ERA 2.79. As we mentioned earlier, the Cardinals erupted against him the last time they saw him. They had a 5-run first inning, so that 2.79 even better than that against everybody else. But second time through the lineup, his numbers not quite as good. So far, the Cardinals searching for a way to hit him.
I would imagine that when the Yankees come through St. Louis next year, no A-Rod. At that point, the suspension would be handed down and then taking place. That's fouled back. And who knows? Derek Jeter in the twilight of his career and dealing with injuries, the Yankees hold a big option on him. You would assume, though, you tear that up and make sure that he finishes up a Yankee. There's no doubt about it. He wouldn't want to diminish any of his earnings potential beyond his playing career. So you stay a Yankee your entire career.
But whoever comes here, won't they be Yankees? I mean, there's still something about the mystique of that team that just goes on year after year. Their long tradition, as Al likes to say, the Cardinals are the Yankees of the National League. And the tradition that we feel as Cardinal faithful, they feel. And another one off the foot of Holiday, and this is getting to the point of being cruel.
Greg Haug, the lead trainer for the Cardinals, out to take a look. That shin, if it isn't already, will be black and blue tomorrow.
Well, it's taken a pounding for weeks.
Maybe off the foot.
Good thing he's tough. And he is tough. Pound for pound, the strongest Cardinal, I would say. You don't get anybody in the clubhouse to deny that or refute it.
That was awfully close, too.
He's thinking about going up there and just batting left-handed the rest of this at bat. Try something different. That might just get the other shin.
Now, from a pitcher's perspective, mentioned it earlier, you go right back there, don't you?
He didn't the last at bat, to the surprise of both you and I. He went away, and you know, the down and in sinker is typically the pitch that a hitter has a higher tendency to foul off his foot. So that's where you think he would go in, and kind of that late swing deep in the zone might produce another foul ball off the foot, and he is going in this time. There it is.
Well, this weekend, it's the return of a fan favorite, Photo Day, presented by Creve Court Camera. Fans could go on the field before the game, up close photos of players, coaches, even Fredbird. That'll be this Saturday. Remember, Todd Hollandsworth had a situation where he continued to hit foul ball after foul ball off his leg. That eventually forced him to retire.
Right.
He had a cracked bone in the leg that never healed properly. And
National League Rookie of the Year.
You bet. One of many long line of those Dodgers that wound up being NL Rookie of the Years. Beltran on a 3-1 pitch, flied out to left. 0 for 1 tonight. Here's the 1-0. Then Carlos hits a high chopper to second, and they'll get the lead man. That's Holiday, hustling always, going in hard at second base, making sure no chance at a turn at a double play. Here is Molina. Yachty struck out first time up. 5 tonight for Willie Peralta. The Cardinals lineup, they have 4 hitters. No Allen Craig in there tonight, but Beltran, Carpenter, Craig, Molina, 4 300 or better. 5th time that's happened in St. Louis history since '69. The 1980 team actually had 5. George Hendrick, Keith Hernandez, Ken Obergefell, Ted Simmons, and Gary Templeton. 5 that hit 300 or better in that lineup. A 1 pitch taken outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Big gap in left center field. And Yachty out in front. Skies one towards center field. Catch made by Gomez. Good ball game tonight. No score after 4. At Scott Trade Center, so a chance for you to check them out. Those are open sessions to the public. StLouisBlues.com. StLouisBlues.com. You'll see the full schedule, and we hope to see you there this Thursday. 5th inning rolls in, and there's no score.
Talked about the heat tonight. So far, so good for Shelby Miller. We haven't seen any signs of the cramping and him getting weary at all. He had one start where cramps were an issue, and he said afterwards he didn't hydrate well enough. And he had one start on the road where he just looked exhausted, but still looked strong here working in the 5th.
High fly ball out to Holiday. Rick, I got to the ballpark today, and you and I started talking about the great Stan Musial. Stan the man, at the age of 42, homered 50 years ago tonight. And this happened after the birth of his first grandchild. So at the age of 42, 1963, he homered on September 10th. And the book that the Cardinals have put out, it's the 2013 yearbook. Steve Zesh rolled in to hand me a copy, and I said, what do you have on Stan the Man? And this book is all about Musial and basically going by day, the entire book of his life in baseball. It's nearly 300 pages. And I told him, I said, does that make sense? 50 years ago, homered after the birth of his first grandchild. He said, well, let's look it up. So sure enough, September 10th, his son Dick and his wife became parents of a boy in Fort Riley, Kansas. Dick was stationed there with the U.S. Army, and it was a home run, a 2-run shot, the next to the last for Stan the Man. Also had the run-scoring single in the 2nd inning. It was an 8-0 win over the Cubs. But that's the kind of detail, by the way, that this yearbook provides. Just go to Cardinals.com/publications, and it's never seen before photos of the great Stan the Man as Aoki strikes out. Nearly 300 pages dedicated to the man. And from Stan the Man, we go to Topped with melty American cheese. This really works. Ripe tomato, leaf lettuce, crinkle cut pickles, and don't forget the crispy red onion. The deluxe quarter pounder, it's a classic on top of a classic, and it's only at McDonald's. I'm not sure that was the segue I was looking for. However, it just seemed to flow.
You did the best you could. A couple of strikeouts of Aoki. Don't see that very often. Shelby Miller just blew that last pitch by him. Segura now 0 for 11 lifetime against Shelby Miller. Bounced out a couple of times. So Shelby pitched well against the Brewers. We mentioned how well he pitches at home, and he's just, again, following suit so far. And following what the other Cardinals starters have done their last turn.
Age of 42, Rick, could you have thrown any pitches in the big leagues and had any success?
I didn't do that when I was 29, 30, 22, and 31. Right? I mean, I was okay the first 4 years, and it was all downhill after that. There's no chance.
Think of that, 42. And you've become a grandpa, and you're still playing in the big leagues. Amazing. We mentioned that Michael Wacha is one of the youngest players on this roster. Carlos Martinez, and we forget Shelby Miller, by the way, is only 22. Youth is served, huh, with this Cardinals team.
It's been a fun part of this team. Again, I believe that's the story of this team. The two things that we mentioned in the open, the story is young arms performing well and team success with runners in scoring position. That's what has marked this team. Tyler Lyons has made a contribution. Really, I think it's fed on what Shelby Miller has done as the starter. These young kids come up and say, hey, if Shelby can do it, so can I. Shelby's certainly doing it here at Busch tonight.
Feature Ken Oberkfell. Ken Oberkfell, part of the Budweiser Bash. Cardinals.com/promotions. Ken Oberkfell. Ken was telling me last year, our celebration of the 1982 championship team, about his transition from second base to third base to make room for Tommy Herr. And, you know, you think about that infield defensively. You can make a case it is one of the great defensive infields ever. Think about that. Hernandez, Ozzie, Oberkfell, pretty darn good. Here's David Freese.
Obi underrated in so many ways, and really kind of grew up in Southern Illinois and playing for the Cardinals. Had a ton of fans here, of course, and went on and played with other teams and is a winner as a manager in the minor leagues for a number of years in the Mets organization and bounced around with that too. But just a, always has a smile on his face, baseball guy, and his skills were extraordinary but underrated. As I said, we can get that hit anytime now.
Well, I guess I better mention that there is a no-hitter going on right now. Gio Gonzalez last night with a near no-hitter against the Mets at Citi Field. Watch that game. He was nasty.
Nationals kind of in that mode of looking like they're going to make a run, and then they stop. And then they look like they're going to make a run again. And I mean, I wouldn't say they're out of it completely, but the Nationals and the Diamondbacks are so far out now, they would have to have a major collapse of one of the three teams in the Central to get in, and they would have to be near perfect. And so it's possible. I mean, you could win 18 out of 20 games. It's possible.
Freeze, a liner into right, and oh, what a catch to preserve the no-hitter. Aoki, a sliding, diving catch near the line and right, and the Cardinals still hitless tonight. Mark that one down.
Yeah, that's a very good play by Aoki, especially since the Cardinals don't have one of them yet. And hits, that is, and a good at-bat by David Freese. It's a liner, it's sinking, pulls it right off the turf.
Rick, right now, Washington, the only team with a certainty of having a new manager next year. Davey Johnson has come out and said this is it. Some believe that he may pull that statement back and want to return. Randy Knorr is a bench coach. A lot believe he is the favorite among the players to receive the job as Adams hits a fly ball out to left. But not a lot of turnover. We thought Don Mattingly would be the first guy fired this year, and now he may be the manager of the year in the National League.
I wonder if less turnover is a result of more teams feeling like they have a shot because of the wild card. They don't feel so panicky at the midway point of the season because, let's take the Dodgers as an example. If you've got to win that division and you're off to the start they're off, and you couldn't have imagined how good they would have been in the last couple of months. But if you'd have thought that the only thing they could do to get in the playoffs is win the division, you might have given up a little sooner, and that obviously would have been a mistake for them. But the wild card gives, I think, hope to more teams for longer. And baseball has a way of evening out over time. Good teams rise to the top. And you won't see, perhaps in the future, as many teams giving up on their manager prematurely, which clearly would have been the case had the Dodgers done it.
Here's a 1-1. Cosma with a fly ball into shallow center. There's Gomez, and Peralta is tough tonight. No hits through 5. for St. Louis. Good pitching battle tonight. And let's check in with Jim Hayes. And the Cardinals do not have Alan Craig. Jim, when might we see him back in that lineup?
Still no timetable for his return and not a lot going on. The Cardinals say that Allen will have that sprained left foot re-examined on Thursday. They say for the time being they just want to give him some rest, get some treatment, and look at it later. So no idea when Alan Craig will be back, but perhaps on Thursday when the doctors get a closer look at what's going on with that left foot, then we'll have some idea as to what's going to be with Alan Craig.
And Jim, in talking with the Cardinals front office, and this is Jonathan Lucroy, they were pleasantly surprised once the boot came off, you know, just how good Alan Craig felt and how well the foot had healed, at least up to this point.
Yeah, he was walking without the boot, said it was still sore. He had been in a walking boot, but they still want to see some of the swelling go down. And again, they will reevaluate on Thursday. Hopefully it'll be good news, Dan.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Here's Lucroy grounding to Matt Adams. One away here in the top of the 6th. What's on tap is brought to you by Budweiser. And tomorrow it's Marco Estrada against St. Louis. 0-4 ERA over 6. It's our Budweiser What's on Tap. But to me, what stands out about the game tomorrow, it is a big start for Lance Lynn.
There's no question about it. Lance Lynn has kind of been put on notice a bit, I would say, by some comments that have been made out of the Cardinals camp, and not so directly, but I think clearly every player knows that the reality is it's about performance, and he has struggled lately, and he's had his great moments as a Cardinal, to be sure, and been an all-star. I mean, it's, you don't want to just kind of throw that out the window and say that doesn't matter, but you know, they need him certainly to get his form back.
Ramos Ramirez, man, this guy is something else, isn't he? Against St. Louis. Second hit. One out base hit, the first since the 4th, and a double by Gindel. Our BJC healthcare difference maker. Lowest home ERA by a Cardinals rookie since 1921. Among the starters, Garcia was so good recently in 2010. There's Shelby Miller, 1.92. It was going into this start, so you would have to assume, hopefully, that it trends down as he keeps putting up those zeros. Here is Carlos Gomez, who was robbed by John Jay in the 2nd on a sliding grab, and then a hard hit ball to 2nd, 0 for 2.
One of the things we've seen tonight is a lot of late defensive swings against Shelby Miller, and that's an indication that his fastball is exploding. And also, I think the cutter that he has started using, I think maybe a surprise to them a bit. I don't think they saw the cutter very much the last time he faced Milwaukee. He's been developing that pitch as the season's gone on, so I'm sure there's maybe even some confused looks on the Brewers' faces as they're trying to understand this new toy he has. But of course they've looked at video of him and they've had some advanced scouting done in one way or the other, but it's different to see it from 60 feet away.
Sure. Pittsburgh, top of the 6th, leading their game over Texas. That's 4-1. Also in the top of the 6th, the Cubs leading Cincinnati 7-0.
Go Cubs, go. You want to sing that song together?
No,
if the Cubs
I
win?
can't even do it. Nope.
Come
when
on,
I hear
Dan.
that song at Wrigley.
Come on, Dan.
Those that help us out in the booth that are from Chicago, I'm ready for a street brawl. I got your Go Cubs, go. One out and a runner at first. Gomez will be tough to double up with his speed. Has to be a hard hit ball. Mentioned the Dodgers earlier. They are running away with the West. Rick, the Diamondbacks were in first place as late as July 21st. Think about that. And the Diamondbacks have had a significant fall from first place. They're 12 games out and just a game above the 500 mark. 0-2 pitch.
American League, on the other hand, has a number of teams in the wild card race. Arizona and Washington can't really be counted yet, although it's possible, again, that they could be on a dramatic run, but you wouldn't guess it. But you look at the American League, and there's really 6 teams in that race for 2 spots. It's going to be fun.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Gomez. 2-2. Tampa Bay is faltered here down the stretch. They've only won 3 of their last 10. They did win last night. Baltimore 9 games back. Yankees game and a half back of the Orioles. So the wild card becomes very interesting, especially when you include what may happen with the American League West.
You've got Kansas City in the picture. You've got the Yankees, Cleveland, Baltimore, Tampa Bay, Texas, all kind of in that wild card race at this point. Oakland actually has a better record than Texas today, although those teams have been kind of neck and neck. Boston and Detroit leading their divisions, but that's a lot of good teams in that list there that I just mentioned, and any of those teams you could imagine getting hot.
2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Third strikeout for Shelby Miller, our charter high-speed pitch of the night. Let's take a look. Peralta's hit 98. I don't remember him throwing that hard, and Shelby at 96.
Peralta's 95 plus to be sure. 98, maybe a bit more than we saw the last time we faced him. Shelby not far behind him. But Shelby's 96, I still contend, is a different 96. The way the ball comes out of his hand. I feel the same way about Seegers from the left side. There's something about the free and easy delivery. There's something about the way the ball explodes. I always felt that way about Joe McGrain. And I really hate to compliment Joe McGrain because I'm his friend, and you know he doesn't need any more people complimenting him because he's Joe McGrain. But that guy, when he was right, wow, did that ball come out of his hand. It had zip to it.
It does have a little bit like Segrist. You're right.
And it was just, I mean,
similar motions to an extent too.
And he would even throw 92 miles an hour, but it looked way harder than that. And ERA champion for the Cardinals.
That's right.
And I tease Joe because I love him, but Joe certainly has no confidence problems.
So Joe loves him some Joe. That's what you're telling me.
Well, don't we all?
The fly ball out to shallow left. Hustling in. It's Holiday.
I wouldn't be surprised if I get a text from Joe because he watches us all the time. Uh-oh, I just remembered.
Busch Stadium. The Southeast Missouri State Redhawks and Southern Illinois Salukis play in the Busch Stadium College Classic presented by Southeast Health on Saturday, September 21st. Get your tickets tonight, right now. Cardinals.com/football. I don't know if you saw this, Rick. He's got a no-hitter going.
So I've heard. I mean, he's been just good from pitch one. Explosive fastball, and he's also got the ball dipping at the plate. Cardinals are having a hard time laying off that. Some of those are changeups, some of those are sinking fastballs. But the closest the Cardinals have come, David Freese, a line drive to right. Nice play by Aoki. 0-0-0 on the Cardinals side.
Shelby Miller trying to pick up win number 13 tonight. Hooked up with Peralta, and he's been tough. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's Miller here, then Carpenter and Jay. Nothing really hard hit with the exception of that ball by David Freese, as you mentioned. There's a fly ball out to right. Aoki for out number 1. FoxSportsMidwest.com, your home for Cardinals news all season long. Stan McNeil thinks another Cardinals standout besides Yadier Molina is in the MVP conversation. Find out who it is on FoxSportsMidwest.com.
Significant challenge here for Peralta, facing Matt Carpenter, who's 0 for 2, but has not been 0 for 2 very many times lately, and even less 0 for 3. Has such good patience at the plate, and really the talk on the Brewers side, as long as the Cardinals don't chase, they could get to Peralta. They've chased a couple of times. Ball's out of the zone. That's made him better, but certainly he has good stuff. As evidence there, that off-speed pitch, good slider, behind in the count. That's what big leaguers do.
Two balls, no strikes. If Matt Carpenter doesn't make the transition to second base, more than likely a utility player this year. Think about that. And now we're talking about potential MVP. 3-1.
And the transition that Mike Matheny made from Matt Carpenter not only being a second baseman but to being a leadoff hitter was a key moment in this season too, because he just took off, and so did the Cardinals offensively.
That same night, he also inserted Edward Mexican as the closer.
Good night for decisions,
I'd say. Second walk the Cardinals have received. Back to the AT&T Twitter poll. I don't think that's overly surprising. 54% in favor of the Yankees.
It's about what I would have guessed. Of course, Kansas City is not going to get as many votes because fans have seen them year after year, and you just say, well, we'll just wait until next year for that one. Tampa Bay does not have the real appeal in some ways nationally, but boy, I love the way their program is, and their manager Joe Madden just year after year just puts out a winner.
Front office is pretty good too. First pitch to John Jay, take it for a ball. Now they get Peralta working from the stretch, something he hasn't had to do tonight.
I'll think about something else Peralta's dealing with. Not only is he trying to keep something special going here in terms of the no hits on the board, but he's one swing away from being down in this game. No run support. Shelby Miller been pretty darn good himself.
Runner goes on the 1-0 pitch. That is slicing into the gap in left center field. And the catch made on the run by Carlos Gomez. He can absolutely fly out there. It makes a very good play.
That would be good closing speed we saw from Gomez. He was a long way away from that ball till the last 10 feet and just kind of went into another gear. But then had to throw out the parachute. And the parachute made him slip a bit, but Carpenter, the runner at first, is getting as far as he can get just in case he drops it to be able to score and has to scamper back.
And now it's Holiday. May try to sneak one by him, and he puts one in the seats. 2 outs and a runner at first. Holiday out to deep left center field. At the track, at the wall. Goodbye. Try to sneak one by him. He may put one in the seats. Number 19 for Matt Holliday.
Right on that, so was Matt Holliday. There goes the no-hitter, the shutout, and the lead.
Got the feeling he was going to try to pound him again in. What he's been able to do with those foul balls off his shin. And one more time trying to sneak one by him, and Holliday launches it for a home run number 19 and a 2-run St. Louis lead.
Holliday has more RBIs in the last month than anybody in the National League. And over the years, people have questioned Matt's ability to hit with runners in scoring position. He is 5th in the National League in hitting with runners in scoring position. We talk all the time about Molina being good at it, and of course Alan Craig being good at it, but Matt Holliday, and there was not a runner in scoring position there, but 364. So he has been productive. Big time.
.424 feet. Now it's Beltran who's batting in the cleanup spot. And a 3-1 pitch to Carlos with 2 down. And it's taken in the dirt.
So how about the mood swing if you're Willie Peralta?
Now the count goes to 3-2. Had it wrong on the board. Well, yeah, you go from tossing a no-hitter. Now you're just praying that your offense can get anything going against Shelby Miller. Down by 2 runs. How about his reaction here after a couple of these pitches, too? He's getting really frustrated at himself. 101.4 the hit speed.
Didn't foul that one off his shin. Rick Cranitz saw the same thing you did about the reaction of Peralta after that walk. He just looked mad, upset. All the things that are expected from a young pitcher, just 24 years of age, and he was the Brewers' best prospect in the minor leagues 2 years in a row. I mean, they just love this guy. They know, and he's going to be a star. He's going to be really good. And he still has some things to learn, but the stuff is there. But that frustration certainly coming out after the walk to Beltran, and Cranitz, I think, a well-timed visit.
I was on the commercial shoot for the Homers for Health, Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, another home run. So thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands raised thanks to Holiday, Freeze, and Craig. And they were throwing BP to them just to get them shots, some tight looks at their swings. And Holiday dug in there. And Rick, I'm telling you, the guy was swinging, I would say 30%. And the ball was going about 500 feet every time. And I mean, you know, you didn't see a full Matt Holliday swing with the big leg kick. It was just nice, free and easy, as if he was just getting loose. And he centered everything and hit it about 500 feet. It was remarkable. He's just got that raw power.
Bat speed's such a key to power. It's like arm speed is a key to a pitcher throwing hard.
Ooh, they almost threw it away. Beltran hustling to second, and not in time. Segura, great pick to make that close on a tough throw. And how about the hustle there, Beltran?
Very heads-up read by Carlos Beltran. That ball didn't get very far away from first base, and he had to do the quick calculation. Getting back to the bag, ball's away. I see it. I can get there before he can get there, and the ball can get there. And he was right, just barely. But the ball doesn't go very far away. The first baseman, Lucroy, catcher's arm. Very alert base running.
Nice block done by Martin Maldonado. It's the little things that the Cardinals did, in my mind, over the weekend, besides the big innings that they had, but fundamentally played so well against Pittsburgh. The Pirates, on the other hand, did not. And who knows, a base hit here with Beltran. The great hustle play. That was a chancy play by him.
Yeah, no question about that.
You know, and you put yourself in scoring position here. One-two pitch. Molina grounds it to short. Segura circles it, and he makes the play. Nissan drive of the game. Matt Holliday with home run number 19, and now with 81 driven in. Smoke that baby into left center. The Nissan drive of the game. Free tickets to military personnel, first responders, Cardinals.com/heroes. Again, free tickets tomorrow and again the next night. Up to 6. Cardinals.com.
It's awesome.
/heroes. Holiday's made it a 2-run St. Louis lead.
Shelby Miller, 6 zeros on the board, and I would have to think the minute that ball was hit by Matt Holliday, You start thinking, if you're Mike Matheny, okay, now what do I want to do with my bullpen? Miller has been very good so far. Pitch count at 91. Hot night. How far do you go with him? You've got a hot bullpen, 2-run lead. What bodies do you want throwing? And there's the answer. Seth Maness and Kevin Segrist. So you're the manager, you probably celebrate and enjoy that home run for about 5 seconds and then start thinking, what does this mean for my team? Because what you don't want to do is get caught into the emotion of that particular moment and be behind the game. Managers talk about sometimes being behind the game. Dan, we've heard him say that, where like anybody in sport understands that. You have to slow the game down to the speed where you're prepared. And if it's going by you too quickly, you just lose it. And that can happen to managers too. Probably happened a couple of times to Mike his first year as a big league manager.
Yeah.
And you learn from that, and you learn not to let that happen again. And sometimes it's maybe over celebrating a moment like that. The next thing you know, whoops, I don't have the guy up that I want up. And Mike is such a good student, he's not going to make the same mistake twice. And
if you're thinking along with Mike Matheny, you've got Gendel here, then Maldonado. You've got to be thinking, okay, pinch hitter.
Right.
So if I have 2 outs, what am I doing? If I have a runner on, is he going to go to the left side or the right side? So do I have my lefty up? Do I have a righty up? At that point, then I've got Aoki after that with a lefty. So you've got to be about 2 or 3 at bats ahead of the game.
So if Gendel and Maldonado are both on, and then they pinch hit the left-hander Logan Schaefer, do you, and that would be a decision that Ron Renicky would make, do you bring in Segrist at that time or not? Would you, 2 outs, nobody on, bring in Segrist or not? And if you think that's a possibility, he better be ready. And that means he's got to start throwing now for 2 hitters down the road. Or if you need a double play. Couple guys on, 1 out. Double play potential guy at the plate. Is Maness ready? And frankly, we don't talk about him very much, but a really important part of this brain trust here for the Cardinals is Mike Aldretti, because that's one of the things he does, is help remind the manager of all those possible situations.
4 strikeouts tonight for Shelby Miller.
There's Aldo, and he walks by and he's whispering something, and he understands the situation just as much as Mike Matheny does, and he kind of is unencumbered by some things, but he's going to be very close to Mike, and if he thinks Mike is missing something, he's going to make sure he hears it.
Little chopper that's off the plate and rolling foul. Martin Maldonado has walked. Also fly to center. Well, if Mike Matheny isn't thinking about it yet, which I'd be surprised if he's not going to tell anybody about it, but the front office certainly is, and that's thinking about potentially where you may wind up in postseason play. And at that point, if you can line up your rotation, where does a Shelby Miller right now put himself among the 3 or 4 that you have to use? And if you can get Shelby at home, got to take a hard look at Shelby Miller and what he's done at home this year. His ERA is well below 2 now at home.
3 or 4 starts left for each one of the starting pitchers between now and you have to make that decision, so that may change some, but that's certainly in the back of your mind as the manager and the general manager. Who are those 4 guys? And I'd have to think it's a foregone conclusion because of his experience at Adam Wainwright's your number 1, but who's 2, 3, 4 is kind of up for grabs, as we've mentioned the last couple of weeks. And Mike does not use the word audition, but basically players play for opportunity. And the home away thing certainly going to be a factor when you look at somebody like Miller.
And Rick, once you're in October, you look at who your hottest hitters are, your hottest pitchers, and now more than ever, it is a crapshoot.
And we won't know that yet. We won't know that for 2 more weeks, who's going to be hot at the time. And they may think I'm crazy, but it could be Lance Lynn. I mean, you don't know that it's not.
And there's the 1-out walk.
Who would have said it would have been Joe Kelly a couple months ago?
It's been a lifesaver. Interesting here with the tying run at the plate. It's Peralta hitting. They're asking Shelby Miller to move the rosin bag. I'm shocked to see Peralta hitting in this spot. One swing and you're tied up. Again, I know he's been outstanding tonight. Just one hit allowed. But you start thinking in terms of if you get into the Cardinals bullpen, there are some serious weapons out there in Segrist, Rosenthal, Mujica. It gets very, very tough to come back against St. Louis.
They don't exactly have Paul Molitor and Robin Yount on their bench right now, though.
No.
Maybe that's what Ron Renicke's thinking here, and he's got a pitcher that he wants to pitch a couple more innings potentially.
That's rolling, and it stays fair. Picked up by Molina. Shelby Miller is due up fourth for the Cardinals. Pitch count at 108. This certainly will be his final inning of work. This may be his final hitter, Peralta. Here comes Mike Matheny. That'll be it for Shelby. What a night. Good job by the rookie. He is responsible for the runner at second base, but Kevin Segrist has come in.
4 very good starts in a row, and we talked about a week ago just how much trouble this Cardinal rotation was in. They couldn't get a good start all the way through the rotation, and it was very frustrating, but boy, they have changed things quickly. And Miller jumped aboard tonight with an outstanding outing. And looking for victory number 13 if Segrist and others can help him. Segrist, our Chevy call to the bullpen. 44 strikeouts and just 16 walks. He has been very good out of the bullpen.
Rick, we have seen a rarity here tonight Aoki has struck out twice in this game. A total of 34 coming into play. 34 the entire season. I mentioned it in his first at bat. He strikes out one time per 17 at bats. So the toughest to strike out in the big leagues, and Miller got him twice, and he falls behind 0-1 here with Kevin Segrist, who is such a weapon out of the pen. 0-2. Pitch by Segrist. It's chopped foul.
Trying to avoid striking out for the third time tonight. Once every 17.2 times does he do this. That's a called third strike. That's in at bat number 2. That is a very late swing. Ball already in the glove of Yadier Molina for a swinging strike. That was in the 5th. Down 0-2 here.
And he strikes out for the third time tonight. Segrist at 97 miles an hour just carved up Aoki. Time to stretch here at Busch. Bud Light, it's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. The first shot had the statue of Ozzie Smith. And we'll visit with Ozzie tomorrow night. Can't wait for that. 2-0, and the Cardinals have one hit. A Matt Holliday home run, a 2-run shot. And Rick, that's the difference in this game.
And I think Peralta's still in this game. You talked about him not being pinch hit for in the 7th inning. One other thought came to mind, Dan, after thinking about that a little bit more. If the Brewers were a game behind the Pittsburgh Pirates, he would be out of this game.
Yeah.
I think that's the real important part of the decision for Ron Renick. He's trying to find out about his young pitchers having a nice day. He's going to leave him out there, and it's going to be his game. He'll let him go 8. He's had 2 complete games. He's going to find out about it.
Pitch count at 87. You're not in the race, so why not let him try to get to that win number 10 and see if his team can't come back.
Is some action in the bullpen just in case he needs some help. Still throwing 94.
It's Mike Gonzalez. They have a pair of lefties in their pen. Also Tom Gorzolani. And pitch taken low and away by Freeds. I'm sure this year has been a trying season for David Freese, all the way back in spring training and dealing with various injuries, never being 100%. And Freese pops it foul and out of play. But he is a money player. Numbers don't lie. Swing and a miss as Freese strikes out. Good tailing action down and in to the Cardinal third baseman David Freese. Here is Adams. Shift is on here for Matt Adams. Interesting how various teams shift differently. You know, we saw over the weekend with the Pirates with an extreme shift on for Beltran and Adams, where their shortstop was on the second base side. And he beats the shift here. They're playing straight up. That's a base hit more than likely.
What the player really has to focus on is just hitting the ball hard somewhere. Wherever they're playing, they're playing. Some guys can direct the ball. We've talked about that before. Yadier Molina would be one of those that might try to shoot the ball somewhere where the team's not playing. Aoki certainly that kind of hitter. Matt Adams, he just needs to keep swinging it. You hit it hard enough for a guy like Matt Adams, they're not going to catch it anyway, unless it's right at somebody.
$35,050 here tonight. 35050. As Cosma looks at strike one. Colton Wong has moved to the on deck circle. There's Rosenthal. The Cardinals ever had an issue with Mejica, and we'll find out more about Edwin Mejica here in the ninth. You would have to think that Segrist shifts to the eighth inning man, and Rosenthal is your closer. We're starting to get those defined roles now for the Cardinals. Segrist has become such a weapon for St. Louis. And I know there's been talk about the potential of moving Kevin Segrist as that foul tip caught the umpire, but along with Mejica and Rosenthal, this trio will stack up against just about anybody in baseball. But Segrist, with all the young pitching the Cardinals have and what he has proven to be this year out of the bullpen, I'm not sure the Cardinals can move him at this point. I'm not saying this year, obviously, but even next year, he is a weapon coming out of that bullpen.
Be dependent upon the needs going into next year too, because hard to imagine that he wouldn't be a weapon out of the starting rotation too, if he's been so good at that in his minor league career. But certainly where he is now is where the need is, and he's certainly filling that need. And I guess he's the seventh inning guy, but I think he's a seventh inning guy, eighth inning guy, out in the ninth. I think he's kind of the floater in a sense right now.
And a strikeout of Cosma. When you say floater, what do you exactly mean?
In a good sense. Well, where the left-handers might be. Tough left-handers late in the game. So I think for a left-hander, you don't always define him as seventh or eighth or ninth inning necessarily, although that appears where he and Seth Maness seem to be in that seventh inning, and then you have Rosenthal in the eighth and Mejica in the ninth. But I don't think Mike Matheny would hesitate with a big left-hander up in the eighth inning situation to use Segrist. So I think he's the one that would, I would say, be a little less defined, but defined as an important left-handed at-bat late. I think that's where he is. And a situational left-hander at-bat late in Randy Choate is also still an option. But when you need a strikeout, I think Segrist is the guy you go to.
Lefty or righty, too. mean, that's the beauty of Segras, is that he can get that tough lefty and then get a tough righty out too. You'd like to see something positive here offensively for Colton Wong. He has showed that defensively, very smooth around the bag. Showed off his range in particular in Cincinnati, but offensively it's been a tough start. 159. That ball gets through Maldonado. Adams advancing to second base with 2 down. 100 pitches on the night now for Willie Peralta.
This is a slider in the dirt through the wickets. Colton Wong with just 44 at bats, so I don't think there's any reason to panic on the future of Colton Wong. Showed in AAA he could certainly do it. He's not swinging the bat well now, and especially coming up here to the big leagues for the first time with just kind of intermittent at bats. Has not shown that he's really been comfortable as a pinch hitter. 0 for 8 as a pinch hitter. And I'm sure he's never pinch hit a day in his life until about a month ago.
So then the question becomes, Rick, how do you get your timing, your confidence, and oh, by the way, do it at the major league level,
right,
for your first time through?
Well, that's why the first time through is so hard. If he was the everyday second baseman and they just said, hey, go play second, he'd be fine and hit, I would say, 280, 290. First full year in the big leagues, and everybody'd be happy and play good defense. I think that's kind of what to expect out of Colton Wong whenever that time is.
Here's a 3-1 pitch. The other aspect of this too, Rick, is that he has been a leadoff man. Matt Carpenter, you wouldn't want to replace him and what he's done as a leadoff man. So Colton Wong has to find a way to fit in a different spot in this lineup. Different responsibility. And that's part of it too.
Good point.
A 3-2 pitch to Colton Wong. In the dirt, and a walk extends the inning to Matt Carpenter. Rick, in the 100+ years of Cardinals baseball, the Cardinals, when they've had just 1 hit in a game, and they've got 2 tonight, they have won just twice. And I'm sure it's not much better even with 2 hits. That's it for Willie Peralta. Carpenter will face Gonzalez when we come back. in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals with a chance to add to their lead. They have just 2 hits tonight, and what used to be a very hard throwing lefty and Mike Gonzalez, now more of a situational lefty, is into the ball game. It's our Chevy called to the pen. Former closer in his career, and at one point in time before surgeries caught up with him, he was flat out nasty coming out of the pen.
He's been busy for the Brewers. 68 games, now 69, top 10 in the National League in terms of appearances. And there were times where he was the lone lefty in the bullpen. You mentioned Gorzelani out there with him now. The Brewers bench not as deep as the Cardinals bench. They have not called up as many players. They only have 6 players on the bench. The Cardinals have 10. And 1 less pitcher in the bullpen as well.
Runners at first and second. Carpenter into center. That's a base hit. Here comes Adams. Throw by Gomez to the plate. He is safe, and it's 3-0 St. Louis. Carpenter comes through with his 70th RBI.
Nice at bat by Carpenter. Nice slide by Adams at the end. Everybody all smiles about that romp home from second base by Adams. Gomez has 9 outfield assists. He's a good outfielder and a good throw on the money, but so was the slide to the backside of the plate. 3-0 St. Louis.
And now it is John Jay, who is 0 for 3. Cardinals could move Carpenter to third if they wanted to, keep Wong in the game. Sometimes we've seen that late for defensive purposes. And let's get a look at Matt Adams after this base hit for Carpenter. Big man runs a lot better than people think. Not great. Not going to win a stolen base title, but he's rumbling home and scores the 3rd run of the night. Base hit here would be huge. Ground ball, and it's hit sharply to first. Lucroy will take it, steps on the bag. Matt Carpenter with a 2-out RBI base hit. And Matt Adams makes it 3-0 St. Louis, beating the tag. 5-3, but they lead it 3-0. Welcome back to Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. Let's go to our studio and a Bommarito Sports Update. Big inning here for our Chevy called to the pen. And Trevor Rosenthal, he'll get Segura, Lucroy, and Ramirez. 2, 3, and 4 in the lineup. Thank you, Pat, for the update. Big night for Shelby Miller. He's in line for the victory if the Cardinals can hold on.
After winning the long drive competition yesterday at the Mike Matheny Golf Tournament, I think this is even better than that. Shelby Miller.
Descalso is into the game at third. We thought they might keep Wong in. Instead, it's Daniel at third. Carpenter stays put at second base. 1-2 the count. Segura is 0 for 3. Pair of ground outs, and he's also popped out. Think about home field advantage if you can finish in front of Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. The Pirates 20 games above 500 at home. ERA is a run better at home. The Reds, the third best home record. So it's important to finish in front of those two. And if you're the Cardinals and would have to go to Pittsburgh for one game, you think about A.J. Burnett, Francisco Liriano. Those two are under 1 in their ERAs against St. Louis at home.
Would not be easy.
2-2.
I really think a fun race is going to be the race for the best record in the National League too. And I think the Cardinals, with their strength of schedule, have as good an opportunity, maybe better than even chance, of catching the Dodgers and the Atlanta Braves in terms of the best overall record. I mean, they're still going to have to do it. I'm not saying it's easy, but you could get yourself some home field advantage if you could just keep beating these teams you're supposed to beat.
So the Cardinals, the Pirates, and Cincinnati, the games remaining. And then the winning percentages of the opponents. The Cardinals had the majority of their games at home. St. Louis with 1 road trip remaining. 4 against the Colorado Rockies. 3 remaining with these Milwaukee Brewers at Miller Park. There's strike 1.
As this bullpen has come into shape for the Cardinals, and these young pitchers just continue to kind of defy their lack of experience and just continue to come in throwing hard, getting outs, staying true to their delivery. If you are a team in the National League and you know you're going to be up against the Cardinals, you fear this bullpen, even though they're young. Segrist talking with Jason Mott. He's actually starting to play catch this week. I mean, just barely starting to play catch. I mean, nothing to be thinking about, but working towards next year. But this has become such a strength of this team, and I would say a reason for National League teams not to want to play the Cardinals.
Game has gotten a lot shorter when you think about what we were talking about earlier with Segrist, Rosenthal, Mejica. These three, this trio, very, very good. The 2-2 to Lucroy, and a swing and a miss. Looked like Rosenthal hit a little bump in the road when we were last at Milwaukee. It was about a month ago. And since that time, boy, he is back to what we saw at the end of last season in the postseason. And then at the beginning of this season, he has had a very good rookie campaign. He comes in so much and he's used so often. and was used at the end of last year. We don't really think about him, I don't think, in the class of the other rookies. 2 balls and no strikes on Ramirez. But yet this is a young guy too, and it's kind of overlooked a little bit. But what a weapon. A 2-0 pitch. Ramirez. That pitch at 99. It's been all rookies today. Shelby Miller, Kevin Segrist, and now Trevor Rosenthal. I think the future's pretty bright. Woo. 2-1 pitch.
Future and the right now. Pretty bright.
And a walk to Ramirez with 2 outs.
Cardinals shut out Pittsburgh on Saturday. They almost shut out Pittsburgh on Sunday. They played golf on Monday.
Life's pretty good, huh?
And are 4 outs away from a shutout here, but with the 3-0 lead, certainly not out of reach for Milwaukee. So important outs left to get for this Cardinal bullpen.
To the count here on Gomez with 2 outs, runner at first, and that's hit out of play. That pitch hitting triple digits from Trevor Rosenthal.
Pretty good swing at a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He throws him a changeup right now. Mr. Gomez might hurt something.
Back muscles. Bat would go flying potentially. Who knows? That one hurt Yachty at 99.
Even more so now. High fastball. Low changeup right now. I'd like to see it for fun. See what Yachty thinks. Yachty wants to have the same kind of fun.
Look at that. You're right.
Ouch.
You were exactly right. The 7 innings, the 5 hits, 4 strikeouts, the 2 walks. Budweiser player of the game, Shelby Miller.
You get the sense that Shelby Miller's starting to learn a little bit too, just by the experience of not having to have the 8, 9, 10 strikeout total either. Matt Holliday has also had a big night. Danny Mack saw it coming. And Matt Holliday, he saw that pitch coming and just hit that into about the 15th row and got rid of some of the aggravation of fouling off 4 balls off his foot. Donovan Hand, our Chevy call to the bullpen. We saw him in Milwaukee. Been up and down this season. He will have the Cardinals 8.
So here is Holliday, followed by Beltran and Molina. It floats up there at 67 miles an hour. So Holliday, that 2-run homer, came back in the 6th inning. The Cardinals had no hits until Holliday's home run. Oh, 0-2 the count. And a strikeout of Holliday. Looking for something else. 3 pitches and out number 1.
Matt Carpenter, Matt Holliday, Matt Adams have all figured in the Cardinals scoring. The 2-run home run by Holliday scored Matt Carpenter, and Carpenter drove in Matt Adams with an important run in the 7th inning. And it just makes a difference. The walk, you noticed, Dan, that feeling when Aramis Ramirez walked with 2 outs, that you don't have the tying run come to the plate all of a sudden. The difference between 2 and 3 runs is exponential.
Rosenthal strikes out the side in the top half of this inning. There's that slow breaking ball 2 times in a row to Beltran. Nothing at 2. Rosenthal is up to 96 on the season now. Oh, up and in. 1-2.
He wanted it up, but not in. I think he'll throw that Uncle Charlie again, that slow Uncle Charlie.
There was, but in the dirt.
Not only was that a slow Uncle Charlie, it was also a low Uncle Charlie. I guess Uncle Charlie is somehow a derivative of curveball. Somebody back in 1905 probably said, oh, that's an Uncle Charlie because it starts with a C. I don't know the derivation. Do you?
I have no idea. I guess curveball and starts with a C. Charlie starts with a C, so there's.
That's what I'm thinking, but
Uncle Charlie.
So why hammer? Why yellow hammer? Where'd that come from?
Remember, Beltran had that broken toe earlier this year. Let's hope that this isn't anything affiliated with that, and looked like it hit him on the instep of the right foot.
Far too much of that tonight.
It's good to see him at least laughing a little bit and smiling. I don't think it'd be surprising if we saw Shane Robinson come in the game in the bottom of the 9th. Base hit into right field. We may see Shane Robinson now. Who knows? Maybe Adrian Chambers.
Mike Matheny's looking for somebody, and that's who he found.
That'll be it for Carlos Beltran here tonight, who has walked and now is single. Mentioned the 40 steals as a team by the Cardinals. Segura single-handedly with 40, but this is a threat to run in Adrian Chambers.
And I think a good situation to do it in. Going from 2 to 3 runs is a big deal. 3 to 4 is also a big deal. Yadier Molina is certainly a double play possibility. So you avoid that by sending Adrian Chambers. Of course, a hit and run also a possibility.
Big lead at first, and diving back in safely is Chambers. One of those guys we haven't seen a lot of in Chambers, but will be forever remembered, scoring on a wild pitch against Chicago in 2011. A crazy game that the Cardinals had to win late in that regular season. Think about players that are remembered for single plays. Cardinals history. Brummer stealing home. Tom Lawless, his home run against the Minnesota Twins.
Those great moments people continue to talk about years later. And I think that dash home by Chambers against the Cubs will be one of those moments as you start to kind of relive just how important that was. Good time to take a chance.
Now would you do it on 2-0? And
better time to take a chance.
I think the other thing you think about, especially with Molina at the plate, hit and run. So hit and run with Yadi, maybe stolen base, straight up. We'll see here. Two and one. 2-1 was a traditional running count for years.
Yeah, and George Kissel used to, in instructional league, which by the way is going to start up soon for young Cardinal players who are going to go down to Jupiter and start kind of working on their next level of development. George Kissel, who ran that for years, used to walk by guys and say, "Tell me a good hit and run count," and you had to answer it real fast. He would quiz guys, and this is one of the answers. 2-1.
Not running, and the pitch is taken high.
3-1, also an acceptable answer. And the point is, when the hitter's ahead in the count, the pitcher has to throw a strike. It's easier for the hitter to put the ball in play. If it's 0-1, 0-2, the pitcher can then expand the zone, which makes it more difficult for the hitter to protect the runner. On a straight steal, you're among other things looking for getting a good jump. And Chambers takes an extra step there, and then timeout is called. Maldonado's thrown out 26% of the runners that have tried to steal against him. And the other thing you think of with a pitcher like Hand is pick out one of those 67-mile-an-hour curveballs to run on.
That's another good point.
Tommy Hurd was great at that. He would pick out the signs as he was leading off first base. He was very good at doing that. And he would only run on curveballs. Not only, but often run on curveball.
Buck Showalter and Joe Girardi got after each other last night, thinking that they were stealing signs in that game. But if you're Tom Hurd, that's just a heads-up play, looking in, getting the sign. Runner does go. Doesn't matter. That's taken for ball 4. Descalso came in the ball game last inning. Defensive replacement for David Freese. Daniel does a very good job against right-handed pitching, in particular waiting back on the ball. Get a breaking ball and pick up a base hit here. That would be huge. There's the curveball and a check swing and a strike. Oh, and 2. Big gap in right center field. 1 out. Molina, the runner at first. Adrian Chambers, the runner at second base. Out of play. Mejica has been up. He is loose, warm, and ready to go when called upon.
And he's doing what all good relief pitchers need to learn how to do, and that is stand there. You're ready? You're ready. Throwing another pitch doesn't make you any more ready. It just gets you more tired. So if you're ready, stop. Bruce Sutter used to run and take the ball out of hands of pitchers in the bullpen when they would throw too much. You literally take the ball from you. Say stop it.
Strikeout of Descalso. That's 2 for Hand in this inning.
The guys you really worry about with that are the guys who are former starters. We'll take a look at that pitch again. Perfectly placed. The guys who are still learning how to be relievers, been starters their whole life, they always want to get every pitch perfect. And Jeff Lottie was one of those guys when he came over from Cincinnati, and Bruce used to just have to grab the ball out of his hand and say, stop throwing, you're ready. Because he just wanted to throw one more, and he was just so amped up, and he'd be worn out by the time he got to the mound. But Jeff actually had some very good years out of the Cardinals bullpen.
Sure did.
We don't talk about him a lot, but he, boy, was very, very good.
The shift on here for Adams. Runners at first and second. He singled up the middle last time. 1 for 3 on the night. Adams is one of those guys that when he comes up, you stop what you're doing, because you never know when he might just park one 50 rows deep.
There's some expectation, isn't there?
Yep.
Some hope.
I think you'd have to say the game of the year, or at least among them, 2 or 3, was his 2 home runs, the 14th and the 16th inning in Cincinnati.
Cameras are out. Remember, any reproduction of what's that thing go again? How's that thing go again? Or any descriptions and accounts of this game without the express written consent? You know that thing.
Get that guy. Rick's on it.
Where's the unauthorized reproduction police when you need them? Maybe that's legal. I don't know. If that guy's handcuffed later, I'm going to feel bad about us ratting him out.
It was Horton, sir. I may have egged him on. The 2-2, and Adams hits it sharply to first and off the glove of Lucroy. Here comes Chambers, and he will score. It's another 2-out RBI base hit for St. Louis. This time, Matt Adams. That's how you beat the shift. 4-0 St. Louis.
Well hit. Couple of good attempts to get it. Slows it down just enough so Aoki's got no chance at home. And another offensive moment by Matt.
All the RBIs from Matt tonight. Hopefully he caught that photo.
Just don't reproduce it or retransmit it.
Cardinals with a 4-run lead, 2 runners on, and a chance here for Pete Kozma.
Pitcher number 4 for Ron Renicky. Kozma's reached on an error, flew out, struck out. Has a modest 3-game hitting streak, but has shown signs of driving the ball a bit better in the last 3 or 4 days, and like to see him pick up another hit.
I liked how you just were able to disseminate that information.
I just hope that guy's not doing it with that camera down there.
Express written consent
of Dan McLaughlin.
You know it. Here is Kozma with 2 runners on. And Pete, a base hit out to left.
Way to go, Pete.
Yachty is held up. And here comes Brock Peterson.
Now, this is the Pete Kozma early in the season, picking up a hit a game, and we said, hit 250, go 1 for 4. We can live with that. The defense has been great, but he had that 0 for 33 slump, and he's just kind of edged his way out of that. He's just kept working. A good at bat there. He, Adams, and Molina, the base runners.
Brock Peterson at the plate. Bases loaded. 2 outs.
There's a number which you would not use Mojica. I don't think the Cardinals are there yet. Clearly they're not there yet. Mojica's still standing. Well, every 10 minutes you have to throw one.
Would you think, though, Rick, with nobody else up and throwing, he's coming in this game regardless?
But there is a number, if the Cardinals score 3 or 4 more in this inning, that they might put somebody else in.
And I just say that now just because no one is up and throwing, but in the bullpen doesn't take that long to get loose.
But you'd have to get, a lot would have to happen, yes. And I don't think we're close to that yet. I think your point, though, Dan, is also true that once you get loose, we only talk about a relief pitcher's appearances and his innings on the mound. But the number of times you have to warm up is factored in by Derek Lilliquist, Blaze Ilsley, the bullpen coach. So kind of once you're up, you like to get him in.
Count is even, 2-2. One swing of the bat may be that number. About his first home run, the 2-2, and Peterson hits it out of play. Led the Pacific Coast League in home runs. Quite the story, Brock Peterson. Just to be playing in the major leagues, given up on by every team in the big leagues with the exception of the Cardinals. Outfield is deep straight away. Bases loaded, 2 balls, 2 strikes. A swing and a miss. He may have chased ball 3. Cardinals strand the bases loaded. They lead it 4-0. Mejica coming on when we come back.
Edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Pat Paris and Al Roboski will be at Lumiere Place. Matt Holliday's 19th gets the cards on the board in this one. They'll look at Holliday's big blast. Shelby Miller very sharp tonight as he bids to win number 13. They'll break down his night. Plus, we'll get Mike Matheny's post-game comments as well. It's Mojica time as Edward Mojica comes on to close the show. We go back to the booth and Dan and Rick, guys.
All right, thank you, Jim. Looking forward to the post game. Lots to get to. Here's Edward Mojica, 59th appearance. Mojica is 3rd in saves in the National League. Chevy called to the pen. Craig Kimbrell with 45. Soriano of Washington with 39. And Mojica will try to pick up 37.
Certainly been a key component of this Cardinal team this year and an important player going forward. Adrian Chambers first came on to play right field and they moved him to left at the very last minute. Shane Robinson's in right field. They had kind of switched right before the first pitch here. Originally announced as the right fielder. He's in left, and there's Robinson in right. But I think what Mojica is able to do the rest of September and into October is very important to this team. As good as he's been, tough pace to keep up, health a factor.
Scooter Gennett at the plate. 1 for 3 with a pair of flyouts. Quickly, no balls in, 2 strikes. It's Gennett, Gindel, and then Maldonado. You know, a lot of teams, depending where they're at in the race, it's interesting to see how they use the expanded rosters. And for Milwaukee, there's that changeup. Milwaukee only has 6 men on their bench. So it's Francisco and Schaefer from the left side, Betancourt, Halton, Bianchi, and Davis from the right side. The changeup, reaching for it, and out of play. The claw grip is what they talk about with Edward Mojica, and that nasty changeup, splitter, forkball, changeup, all mixed into one. You just call it nasty.
And he throws strikes with it, and throws strikes with everything else too, for that matter.
0-2 pitch. Slap the other way, and a fair ball past Descalso, who's playing off the line. Chambers will fire into second base. Oh! And he's in there safely. How about the rocket there from Adrian Chambers? Good throw by the Cardinal left fielder. Very close at second base.
A chance, really, from Gennett's point of view. It'd have been bad to make that out. All smiles as Chambers. There's the ball just barely fair. It's over the bag. And Chambers gets to it quickly and gets rid of it quickly. And look at this throw right there. Close play. He's safe.
Well, you and I both have been impressed with the improved arm of Chambers. It's really been improved over the last 2 years.
We noticed from his first time to the big leagues to maybe that second or third time he came back up that something happened with his arm. He all of a sudden was just throwing much better. That's not a left fielder's arm. That's more like a right fielder's arm.
This time last year, called up, and he made a play against the wall and fired it into second base and caught us by surprise with just how good it was. And again, it's 0-2. This time Mojica will try to put away Gindel. In the dirt, and it's blocked by Yachty. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Off the end of the bat, in the changeup, Mojica, and it's not as if he is not throwing hard. You know, he throws 92 to 94.
Right.
So keeps you honest with the fastball and then mixes in the changeup. We get used to seeing Segrist and Rosenthal and all these young arms come out of the pen throwing high 90s. Ground ball to the right side. 1 away.
What's a little bit misunderstood about the guys that have the power changeups is they throw it just as hard. It just doesn't get there as fast because of the grip. So their arm speed, they're working the same way they are with the fastball. The speed comes off with the grip that you throw it. So there may be a slight maybe decrease in terms of how hard you throw it, but you don't want that to be too big of a decrease because that deception is then lost. So you can't just kind of lob the ball in and call that a changeup. You have to throw it hard and let the ball get choked in your hand. And, you know, it's really not that easy a pitch to throw. I mean, it requires, in my mind, as much work as the fastball does. Not as much work as a hard breaker, because there you're really kind of turning your wrist or your hand or your fingers on top of the ball, and you're torquing your elbow a bit more. But the changeup is not much different than throwing a fastball, really.
High fly ball lifted into deep right field at the wall, and this ball is gone. It's now 4-2. Logan Schaefer off the bench, and it's now a 4-2 Cardinals lead. And things have gotten a lot more interesting here with that home run. 1 out and a 4-2 St. Louis lead.
Up and in. Somehow able to keep his hands inside the ball. Really, that ball really carried well, too. He must have just hit that right on the screws.
.378 feet. Juan Francisco now the pinch hitter. We've got ourselves a ball game. Cardinals 2 outs away from the win. A changeup in the dirt. Right-hander is up and throwing. I believe that is Axford, the former Brewer. Outfield is deep straight away. Last time we saw the Brewers, Francisco, there's Axford. Francisco was striking out at an alarming clip. He had struck out 14 of 18 times in that series coming in. A 2-0 pitch. There's a fly ball lifted to deep right. That'll stay in the ballpark for out number 2. Just watching the reactions of Mejica after some of these pitches. He's not quite right, is he?
Boy, you just wonder. He's just not dominating as he did early in the season. The changeup requires a real important feel, and Cardinals need him to be right. That's for sure.
Strike on the inside corner to Aoki, who has struck out 3 times tonight. Came in with a total of 34 Ks this year. Out in front, that's strike 2. If the Cardinals hold on, they're 3 games in front of Cincinnati. The Cubs have posted a victory against them. Aoki does put it in play. It to short. This should do it. And the Cardinals take game on. They hold on 4-2.
Trevor Miller picks up the win, his 13th. The Cardinals scored 2 in the 6th, add-on runs in the 7th and 8th, and they become the difference as Mejica gives up a couple in the 9th but closes it out.
Shelby so tough here at home. Post-game show is next. Miller is now 13-9.